As of this week at least, I have been thinking a lot about existential crises and the end of the world and the creation of the world and the world we live in and how it is temporary, how we aren't ever going to survive out of this place, sadly, or not sadly. I mean, who wants to live in an infinity of time? That removes the meaning of the time you actually live. So in this thought, in this thinking, and in the books I'm currently reading, one is called The Brain, and in there it talks about that we aren't anything, or as Alan Watts has said many times, I believe, we are one with the world. We are the world is us. There is no me, there is no you. We are actually just the same thing. We are built from the same stuff. We and all and everything around us is built from the same thing. We are all built from protons or quarks or neutrons or whatever, but we all are from the same things built. We all have originated from God, if you believe in that, or Big Bang, if you believe in that. This is not to separate, but just to think we all originate from the same things. The same goes for the death of stars. That's the dust that created us, and that's also where we will go back. You go back to where you came from when you die. And in this book, The Brain by David Eagleman, he talks about how the world is actually colorless, tasteless and soundless. There are no actual colors, there are no sounds, there are no tastes, there are no senses of that. The things we hear are just airwaves compressing and decompressing. That's what creates the sounds we hear, but the actual thing, there isn't anything like that. It's our brain that makes us think that it is something like that. As he talks about in the book, that's why we have different people who see different light, they see different color spectrum, or we have a one visible color light spectrum, but that's only a small part of the whole electromagnetic spectrum. We see only a small part of the whole thing, and many people don't even see that. For example, bats, they have used echolocation to see around them. It is very, very different from but it's the same reality. So that's why there isn't, we just make it up in our brains. That's actually a really interesting thought, because that means that our brains just create everything. So that means they're really powerful and actually gives you motivation actually to think that you can create whatever you want actually, if you need it, if you want it, if you truly want it, if you truly believe it, you can make it real. I guess, from this thinking that the world will end, either in a cold death, expansion, in a decompression into a new Big Bang, whatever, the world will end some way or another. That got me really thinking a lot this week. I guess I got a small existential crisis, because what is the point of doing anything if you are still going to die? If there's not going to be any point in anything you do, in anything anybody does, because it's just gonna disappear. It's just gonna it's not even gonna exist. Having a word like nothing, that there is no nothing. You shouldn't even have a word that's called nothing, because nothing creates something. Because you're putting a word on something means, or it gives it some value. You give it some value, but there is no value. There's the absence of everything. Absence is even a bad word to describe it, because it isn't anything. It's like in Harry Potter when you say he who is not to be named, Voldemort. So it's you should basically talk about it in the same way, the thing that is not to be named, because there is no name. You can't name it. There is no way to name it, because that just removes what it actually is. So then name is actually not true. But as we have now, nothing is the best way to describe it. Or you have dark matter or whatever, but nothing. This is not the first time this has struck me. It's often a YouTube video, a clip, something I read in a book that sparks this event of thoughts. I have read a decent amount of books this year that actually talk about this. There's a book here, 4,000 Weeks. It talks about our morality as a human. We all know that we are mortal, but we don't remember it every day. So we don't even make the most out of life when we should be doing that. So this book talked about how we are trying to be too productive in a way that just stresses us out, and we lose time we actually have on this earth. The 4,000 Weeks. That book is also a lot about how death and how remembering death can make life more meaningful, and that's actually a video I have made. I can link it up here. Most people my age don't think about this, they don't talk about this, they don't read about it, they don't study it, they don't search it up, because it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about. It's one of the big questions in life, like what is after life? Is there anything after life? And if there's nothing, then that's just really uncomfortable for most people, and most people don't care, or they do care, but they put it aside, they don't want to think about it. It's like many things with people these days. They drink, they take drugs, they do alcohol, whatever. They do these kinds of things things to get away from the problems they're experiencing, because they are scared of this. They don't want to face it fully. It is an uncomfortable thing to think about your death. It is a comfortable thing to think about that nothing that you do, nothing ever in life is actually meaningful. Things can be meaningful, but nothing in the end will actually be meaningful. There will be nothing left. It is scary to think about this, but at the same time it's also freeing. It's freeing because if you do not have to care about anything, you don't have to care about people judging you. You don't have to care about that because it won't matter in the end. In the big picture, it won't matter. This is a lot of a thing many philosophers thought about. People like Marcus Aurelius, they thought about memento mori, so death, and how death can make life more meaningful, because by having a time frame, by having a time limit, it motivates you to do things. In the book here, Drive, that I have here, it talks about how you need something behind you and also something in front of you to give you a lot of motivation. Or maybe it wasn't this book, it may have been some other thing I have read, and this book 4,000 Weeks, it reminded me of you needing to take care of the time you have and doing things that actually like are worth it. But to be fair, nothing is even worth it. It's a pretty nihilistic thing to think about. Nietzsche also thought about this a lot. As I said, most people my age don't think about this. Obviously people care because it's about their life, but they don't care enough. But I do. People don't read, people don't do those kinds of things. This is a big topic. This is one of the biggest things in life, but that most people don't think about it. Many religions tackle. So if you believe that, good for you. You can never know about what will happen after life, because there is just nothing. You can't study a person who dies, because there will be nothing left. There will be no brain activity. There will be nothing like that. It will be empty. It will be nothing happening. That's the problem. Okay? And you can't track their spirit or soul or whatever, because there is nothing to track. It's not physical. It is up in the sky or whatever, if you believe in that. You don't have basically anything to go on. This is a really philosophical topic, but yeah, that's what I have been thinking about this lately here. These are the thoughts you get from reading a lot, or reading books and thinking about a lot. I guess that's a curse, as I talked about in an earlier video. The curse of deep thinking. You have different thoughts, you have different ideas. People call you insane, people call you crazy. For you, this is normal. That's another thing that comes back to what I just earlier told you about the book, The Brain. People are different. We interpret the world differently. People have schizophrenia. They think that it's real, that everyone is seeing that, even though it's just only themselves. It's crazy to me, at least, how trying to be smart, trying to think more, trying to do all of these kinds of things is thought of as crazy. Is thought of as, how do you do that? It's so boring, whatever, in this modern day. Maybe it was that like that before also, but it's just crazy for me, because that's one of the most natural things to do as a human. That's one of the most interesting things also. Many thousand years, the Roman emperors, Marcus Aurelius or whatever, the emperors, the philosophers, Socrates, those people, they thought about this. People have been philosophers throughout the human ages. Still people don't care about it. It's interesting. This is my opinion. Thank you.